All right, here's what we're doing today to help you with your positions and your foundation, your base for boxing. Whether you're competing amateur to pro, this is something that you can add to your warm-up that doesn't take a lot of time, but it helps with your intention to make sure that you're never out of position. What is out of position? For me, I always like to think about no matter where I move or what I do with boxing, I want to always be able to do one of three things at a time to take advantage of things, but technically have the option of all three, and that is to be able to attack, defend, and move. If I am not able to do one of those three things, I may potentially be out of position because now my opponent can take advantage of the thing I'm not able to do if they have the IQ to take awareness of it. But however, know thyself, we want to make sure that we work on these things prior to us getting to sparring, getting into fighting. And if you're just a civilian like myself who likes boxing and is a boxing enthusiast and you want to look good at boxing and get better at boxing, this is something that you could do as well. So we're going to talk about the positions that we're getting in. Specifically, we're going to work on head movement today. And we're talking about 6 positions. There's more, but from a foundational standpoint, we're going to work on those 6. So when it talks about our positioning, our heels and working from the ground up are going to dictate everything else from above, right? So our feet have more control over our hips than our hips have control over our feet. What I mean by that is I can go ahead and turn this hip without turning my feet or moving my feet. But if I turn my toe, it's damn near impossible not to go ahead and turn my hip. So we talk about what's below has more to do with what's above than what's above has to do with what's below. So when we talk about our heels once again, if I have both of my heels down, that means that my head is in between my heels. I'm neutral. This is a neutral position that some of your coaches might call. Whatever your coach's systems is, go with that system. I just want you guys to understand what it looks like. Now, when I'm neutral here, I have my head in the center in between my heels because both my heels are down. Now, if I lift a heel, I am now in a different position because my head needs to rest there so I can go ahead and be balanced. Now, when I lift another heel, I'm in a different position because my head needs to go ahead and be balanced. So some coaches may call this neutral. They may call it whatever they want to go ahead and call it. Some coaches call this position A. Some coaches call this front foot position. Some coaches call this position B or back foot position. Whatever your coach calls it. And if you don't have a coach, I just at least want you to look at what it looks like. So now once we're there, if I'm neutral, I have the opportunity to come from a high position with my head or a low position with my head with a slight knee bend. My knee bend is going to be based on me. It's going to be based on my anatomy and what feels good for me to be able to do all 3 of those things that we talked about before: attack, defend, and move. So I'm going to practice on coming up and down in that neutral position. Now I can also do it from a front foot position, up and down. Now I can do it from a back foot position, up and down. So those are pretty much the 6 slots that we can put our head. That is important because in order for you to understand your head being the target, you need to know where it is and where you can move it as an exit according to the position of your opponent and also their head slot as well. But when we get back to the drill and just focusing on this, you can do this before you go ahead and start your warm-up. And you can do it 30 seconds at a time with 10 seconds off for 4 rounds. The reason why we want that 10-second off is because you have to be intentional with your movement and really think about what's going on each time that you're in that position. Now, this is the basis that you can go ahead and do it. Now you can focus on one of 3 things: what your head is doing, what your hands are doing, and what your feet are doing. But today we're focusing on what our head is able to do. So now, once again, as I'm in that neutral position, I can stay here or I can go down. I can now get in that front position. I can stay here or I can go down. I can get into that back foot position. I can go here, I can go ahead and go down. Now, as me being a strength and conditioning coach, what we would call that in strength and conditioning is a hinge. And so with a hinge, it's more about your waist than it is about your knee bend or squatting pattern or knee dominant position. So I'm more so moving with the waist because if you guys see from the side here, if I hinge and I bend at the waist and my chin is tucked the way it's supposed to go ahead and be tucked, my head slot comes down a little bit lower than if I had my head up and I just went into a squat. If you notice, my temple is still able to be hit. But if I come here and my chin is tucked, if you notice, my head went a little bit lower. I cannot go lower than my waist because in boxing, the scoring area is waist above and everything in front. So if I dip out of bounds, that is technically illegal in boxing. That's the reason why you hear refs go and say, hey, pick your head up. Or if somebody pushes their head down, they say, hey, stop pushing on his head, because this is technically out of bounds and there's no scoring shot for anybody. So we want to get used to what it feels like to go low enough where we can maybe avoid a hook or change our head slot away from some punches, but still be in a position where we can do one of 3 things that we talked about, which is attack if we need to, defend if we need to, or move if we need to in any direction that we want to go ahead and particularly go. So that's what the base of this drill is for. Once again, you would stay 30 seconds in, just looking at these positions, getting used to what they feel like, Now, if you have access to a mirror, I would say use it. There's a mirror in front of me. There's also a mirror to the side. There's also a mirror to the side of me. So I can actually look at myself in front of the mirror and see what these things look like, so I can lessen the gap between what I think I'm doing and what I'm actually doing. Because when it comes to fighting, I need to know what I look like in front of my opponent, and I don't have an opportunity to have a mirror in front of me. I just need to know what it feels like so I can get into my counters if I want to. I can get into my defense if I want to. I can get into my setups if I want to. So once again, you would just chill in front of the mirror, make sure you know what these feel like, and you can change what you want to focus on. You can go ahead and throw punches here if you want to. Focus on what your hands are doing, making sure that you're protecting yourself correctly. Maybe work on head slot changes if you want. Make sure that you know where your feet are at. All these options are available for you, but that is a quick drill that you can do before you get into your entire boxing warm-up. If you're working with your coach, I would say come a little bit early. Make sure you get your jump rope in, get this footwork in. I have an entire footwork series for you to do that only takes 4 minutes as well as rhythm shots that takes 4 minutes as well. So if you add this in, you're looking at a warm-up of 10 minutes, probably about 30 seconds that you can get into before you work with your coach or before you get in your boxing emphasis for today or for the day. So that is a foundational drill that you can do. 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off, so you can make sure that you get a brain break so you're intentional with what you're doing. And that is a drill for you today. Ask me questions. That's what I make videos on. And I'll see you guys in the next one.